The purpose of this video is to review lateral and surface areas of a prism. Now, before you can find lateral and surface areas, it's important to know what they are. So lateral area, and it's sometimes called lateral surface area, it's the total area of all of its faces. And it's important to note that the lateral area of a prism does not include the area of its bases. So I'm going to take my highlighter and I'm going to highlight that. Surface area, on the other hand, is the sum of all of the areas that make up the sides of the figure. Surface area refers to the total surface area of the figure. It includes the areas of all faces and the areas of both bases. All right, so let's go ahead and find some lateral and surface areas. In example 1, they ask us to first of all name the type of prism pictured below. Remember that a prism is named for the shape of its bases. So in order to name this prism, I have to take a look at it and decide which pieces are the bases. The bases, remember, are both congruent and parallel. So the bases of this prism are going to be in the shape of right triangles. And for that reason, the name of the prism is a right triangular prism. The lateral surface area is going to be comprised of the area of all lateral faces. The surface area, or total surface area, is going to include the lateral area, and in addition to the lateral area, also the area of the top base and the bottom base. Now, if I think about my lateral area is made up of these rectangles that comprise the lateral faces. So I'm going to say the first rectangular face is a rectangle that is 6 centimeters high. And as far as the width, I don't know the width. I wasn't told the width. But if I look at my base, if I look at that triangle that makes up the base, it's a right triangle. I know the legs of the right triangle are 3 and 4, so I can either use Pythagorean theorem to find the length of the third side, or I might recall that 3, 4, 5 is a Pythagorean triple, so the length of that third side has to be 5. However you do it, whether you have to use the Pythagorean theorem or whether you remember that Pythagorean triple, either is a legitimate and valid way to find the third side of that triangle. So the front face of my prism is a rectangle that measures 5 centimeters by 6 centimeters with an area of 30. This next face that I'm going to highlight in green is also a rectangle, but his dimensions are a little bit different. He's 6 centimeters tall by 4 centimeters wide, giving him an area of 24 square centimeters. And then the last rectangle that comprises the left face of this prism is a rectangle that's 3 centimeters wide by 6 centimeters high, making his area 18. So my entire lateral area is comprised of these 3 rectangles and is therefore going to be 30 plus 24 plus 18, or 72 square centimeters. Now, the area of the base is a triangle. So I'm going to label this in my work that I'm now finding the area of the bases. And to find the area of a base or of a triangle, I'm going to multiply 1/2 times the length of the base times the height. So in my right triangle, I know the base and the height are going to be the 2 pieces that form a right angle. So in looking at this triangular base, the 2 pieces that form the right angle are the 3 and the 4, and they are the 2 that I have to use in my formula. So the area of each base is 6 square centimeters. The total surface area is going to be the area of the rectangular faces, or the lateral area, which I found to be 72, plus the area of the top base, 6, plus the area of the base that makes up the bottom of my prism, which is also 6. And when I do the math there, I find that the total surface area is 84 square centimeters, or 84 centimeters squared. And again, it's important to note the difference between lateral area, which does not include the area of the bases, and surface area, which does include the area of those bases. All right, number 2 says find the surface area of the prism given that the area of a base is 54 root 3 square meters. Round your answer to the nearest hundredth of a square meter. So this says find the surface area. That's the same as finding the total surface area. In other words, it includes the area of the two bases. I'm going to start with the lateral faces, and I'm going to identify in my work here that I'm finding the area of those lateral faces. So in this particular case, the lateral faces are made up of rectangles. Each rectangle measures 12 meters long by 6 meters high. So each of those rectangles has an area of 72 square meters. The lateral area is made up of 6 of those rectangles, and I can come over here and count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 times 72, or in other words, 432 square meters. The total surface area is going to be the area of those 6 rectangles, or the lateral area, plus the area of the base that's in front and the area that's in the base on the back. So 432 square meters, plus it tells us that the area of each base is 54 root 3, plus another 54 square roots of 3. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my calculator, and into my calculator I'm going to type 432 plus 54 root 3 plus 54 root 3. And when I type that into my calculator and follow the directions here and round my answer to the nearest hundredth of a square meter, we find that the total surface area of this prism is equal to 619.06 square meters. All right, number 3, the last one. This one's an interesting example. It says a rectangular prism has a surface area of 130 square inches. The length and the width are 5 inches each, and they want us to find the height of the prism. Since they don't give us a picture, the very first thing that I'm going to do is draw a picture. It's a rectangular prism, meaning that its bases are in the shape of rectangles. Usually to draw a prism, I'll start with the base, and then I'll connect corresponding points on each of the bases. And it has the effect of drawing a three-dimensional shape. All right, so now I need to go label the length and width are 5 inches each. And the height of the prism is going to be the distance between the two bases. I'm going to call that x. So I know that this is referring to, it doesn't say lateral area, so this is referring to surface area. I know the surface area is comprised or made up of the lateral area, plus the base in front, plus the base in back. So if I consider the area of this base in front, his area is 25 square units, as is the area of this base in back. So all I'm going to do is substitute into the formula the pieces that I know. I know the surface area is 130, and I know the area of each base is 25. So if I perform a little bit of algebra now on this equation, I find out that the lateral area of my prism is exactly 80 square units. Now the lateral area of this prism is made up of 4 of these congruent rectangles. So I'm just going to draw a little picture. The lateral area is made up of these 4 rectangles. where the height of the rectangle is 5 and the base is x. This 80 represents the area of 4 of those rectangles. So I'm going to go ahead and divide that by 4. So now I've got a rectangle where the area is 20, the height is 5, the length of the base is going to have to be 4. So x in this picture represents the height of my prism, making the height of my prism 4 inches. All right, so as always, up at the top of the next page, I want you to think back and reflect on what you saw in the video, and in your own words, summarize the important ideas and key understandings. And then you can go ahead and see if you can apply what you know or what you learned to the examples on page 5.